Hello, fellow creatives of the digital age, and welcome back to the AI Writers Connection channel. My name is Mara Gold, and I'm absolutely thrilled to guide you once more through the labyrinth of storytelling as we unleash the power of artificial intelligence on the writing process. Today's session is all about the how-to of creating an engaging, interconnected 8-book series. Yes, we're diving into the thrilling world of series and creating a universe that will ensnare our readers' hearts and minds. Our mission is to strike the perfect balance between individual book narratives and the overreaching series arc, giving each character their spotlight while weaving them seamlessly into a grander narrative tapestry. But before we dive in, remember, if you haven't already, do subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to stay updated with all our new content. Like this video and drop us a comment on what you're most excited to learn about today. Also, don't forget to join our vibrant community on the AI Writers Connection Discord group, where we continue our discussions, share insights, and cheer each other on. The link is in the description below. So, are you ready to dive into the intriguing world of series creation? Excellent. Let's get started. Earlier today, I was inside of the AI Writers Connection Discord, and an author had posed a question about using a prompt to possibly flesh out a series. She was hoping to be able to take some of the characters, maybe supporting characters in book one, that maybe were either related or friends of the protagonist and the love interest of book one, and taking those supporting characters who have a cameo in book one and making those characters the main characters for book two. And then, of course, so on and so on for, same thing with supporting characters in two would become the main characters for three, and then supporting characters in three would become the main characters for book four. So that I found really interesting, and you all know that I really like to put together prompts and kind of play around with them. So I took some of the prompts that I had and I went into ChatGPT and kind of played around in there. And what I came up with was an interesting little basic prompt. So let me show you what that looks like. Now, before I go and dive really deep into the prompt itself, I do want to share that one of the things that I had an issue with earlier today in my prompt was that it kept forcing my basic generic prompt into only pulling up, like, say, paranormal content, urban fantasy, maybe sci-fi, alien romance. And when I was talking to Cece about it, we were kind of troubleshooting. And do you do you see this area that I just highlighted on my page? It states to create an engaging 8-book genre plus subgenre series set in a vibrant, interconnected world or universe. So we found that when our prompt had the words world or universe, or specifically vibrant with world or universe, that it was almost automatically kind of pushing our series to be paranormal, romance, anything with shifters, witches, fae. It was even tossing in some magical urban fantasy. Now, is that because I tend to write a lot of that or plot for a lot of that content inside of ChatGPT? I don't have an answer to that, but I can tell you that I also plot thrillers, and if that were the case, I kind of would have expected to have seen more of that. So Cece and I played around, and after troubleshooting it, we went ahead and took out vibrant, world, or universe. So what we came up with was create an engaging 8-book genre plus subgenre interconnected series. By taking out world or universe, it kind of took out that otherworldly theme that the AI may have actually been feeding upon. So I went ahead and left in the content that says your goal is to write a 500 to 600 word synopsis using a popular premise in the selected genre and subgenre. Now, why did I not mention a genre or subgenre? I intentionally left that off so that this could be a very basic prompt that anybody could grab and maybe replace genre with contemporary and maybe the subgenre with Western. Maybe somebody else wants to write a thriller and instead of subgenre, maybe they're going to say psychological because they want a psychological thriller, or maybe they want a techno thriller, or maybe they want a cozy mystery. Again, this template allows you to massage it and extract the information that you would like in your story. The other thing that you can do here is you could hit enter and you could type in your own premise right in here. So again, play with prompts, make them your own. For this prompt, though, I'm going to leave it really, really basic just so that you get a good idea of what the very guts of this prompt will do. So again, it states to create an engaging 8-book genre plus subgenre interconnected series. The goal is to write a 500 to 600 word synopsis using a popular premise in the selected genre and subgenre. The series will incorporate 7 to 10 tropes, thread some across the series arc, and explore 10 to 15 themes, with some persisting throughout the series. Each book will have a distinct title and belong to the same series name. In brackets, you will notice that I stated to give me a name. And why did I do that? I don't want to come up with a name since this is a very basic prompt that I'm beginning to build. So I'm going to ask the AI to actually name the series. Now, I also want the AI to, along with the stuff that's already been mentioned, I want the AI to provide 5 to 7 sentence premise for each book. So not for all 8 of them as one, but for each individual premise, I want to see about 5 to 7 sentences. Now, if you want a longer premise, you can ask for that. If you want a shorter 1 to 2 sentence, change that out. Again, you want to take a prompt and you want to make it your own. One of the things that you have to be really careful of in a prompt is, say I had written, I don't know, for genre, I had, let's say, mystery. And then for subgenre, I had medical. Well, if I leave that in there and then you grab it and you start playing around with this and say you put something in for a cozy mystery, well, it's going to bring in medical mystery content if you don't change things. So make sure that you're conscientious of what is in the prompt. Again, this is going to be a very basic prompt that you can make your own. So moving on to look at the other aspects of the prompt, I have requested for the AI to provide for each book a catchy title and series name, a compelling series tagline, a clear logline, an engaging blurb, a glimpse into the catalyst, and the Save the Cat moment using the Snyder beat sheet. I'm also requesting that the AI give me romantic pitch points using Jamie Cole's romantic beats. Now, why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I like to write a lot of romance, and I also like using, Blake Snyder's Save the Cat. And that Save the Cat moment is pivotal to a story. So I like to mash up the Blake Snyder beat sheet along with the Jamie Gold's romantic pitch. Her beats, I like to kind of put them all together to see what I get. I tend to get some really good, solid core stories that I can actually take those concepts and flesh them out. Now, if you don't want that in your story, say you want Lester Dent or some other method or none at all you have to do is just remove the content and then just continue with the basic template. Your characters should be well-rounded with clear, identified goals. You want them to have motivations, strengths, and weaknesses. You want them to have flaws even. So let's go ahead and put flaws here. Each character should have a first and last name, and their roles as main characters or supporting characters making cameo appearances should be clearly specified. Identify the protagonist and the love interest for each book. Now, one of the things that you have to think about here is, one, do you want this outline to have the same couple throughout all 8 books? Or do you want a new character for each one? Now, you can have characters coming in and out, making cameos across all 8 books, but let's go back up to the top. With the way that it reads right now, this is more than likely going to give us an outline that will go across all 8 books with the same 2 characters. So we're going to test that theory in just a moment. If it does, then what we're going to do is come back and we're going to state that we want the outline, this template, to only have new couples for every single book. So let's test that theory. I'm really thinking that it's going to give me the same couple across all 8 books. So let's take a look. So further down, again, we want to identify our characters' first and last name, their roles as main characters. Another thing that I'd like to add, and I think you all know by now, that I really like the Myers-Briggs. Some people like the Enneagrams and other personality type methods. I tend to like to stick with the Myers-Briggs because I am comfortable with those personalities and I have been using them for years in my writing. So right here where it says each character should have a first and last name, I'm also going to state assign, all caps, assign Myers-Briggs to each character and specify their roles as main characters or supporting characters, making cameo appearances. So we can, if we want to clarify that more, we can say each must make a cameo appearance. We can identify characters by name if we know who they are. Now, all of our characters should be clearly specified. We want to identify the protagonist and the love interest for each book. Now, your setting should be a town. Give the town a name, a place thriving with something common to the selected genre and subgenre. List the setting for each story, keeping in mind the selected tropes and themes for each of the 8 books and the series arc. Now moving on to the antagonist or the antagonistic force in the series. It should be dynamic, menacing, and consistently challenging. The characters should be challenged in this world that you are building. Remember, an antagonist doesn't have to be a single entity. It can be a group, a force, or a situation. So in some movies, you'll find that it's man against nature. Maybe the antagonistic force is a volcano eruption. It could be a flood. It could be a meteor shower. So again, think about what or who your antagonist should be. The series will be a compilation of the narrative, but you also want to make sure that the book can stand on its own. So you want it to be coherent. You want it to be able to stand there. Now, if it is a series where you have the same 2 couples, the same couple, male and female, or your male and male or female and female couple all the way through all 8 books, then you need to be very specific about that. You need to make sure that they are growing from one book to the next. But if it's going to be a different character each time, then you may need to make sure that there's some continuity between the chapters, and that some of those characters who have cameos early on and become couples later, that you're still filtering in some of those early book couples into the later books so that it feels a bit more cohesive in the world that you're building. In addition, you want to make sure that each character's journey adds depth and dynamics to the series. You want to make sure that the relationships and the interactions between the characters add intrigue and suspense. Also, you want to incorporate engaging tropes that bode well with the genre and subgenre and explore rich themes. So these are all things that I'm telling the AI that I want to see in this basic template when it is generating premises for me. I want these items to be part of the popular items, the genre, the subgenre, the tropes. I want them to be popular within that area. These elements should add complexity, maybe even a lore to your series, making it an addictive read for your audience. Now, why did I put that in there? So, one of the things that I wanted to do was give a shout out to Elizabeth Ann West. She does quite a bit of prompting herself, and it's interesting to see how she goes about her prompting. And she's very conversational when she's talking to the AI. There are times when she will give the AI a scenario and tell it, you are a best-selling author in the cozy mystery genre. So she will coach the AI in that way and ask it to give additional feedback. So she's basically telling the AI that it is an expert in its industry. Now, I think that's a clever way to, prompt an AI. That's generally not the way that I will prompt. I'm generally very straightforward. I will generally tell the AI, this is what I'm wanting. I want a premise on XYZ. I want these following attributes. I want all of these items checked off, and this is what I want. So I'm very straightforward in that way. Both methods are okay to use. So one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is to explore other ways of prompting. Take a look at the way that I prompt. Take a look at the way Elizabeth Ann West prompts. Look at some of the other individuals who have videos out there. See what resonates with you. And if you end up taking a little bit of information from each individual and compiling your own method of prompting, then that's a positive experience. You don't want to just use the same prompt over and over again, because you'll notice that all the different people who are prompting and recording ourselves, we tend to change up our prompts depending on what the needs of the story or the content that we're working on. And if you haven't checked out any of her videos, definitely, go out and take a look at hers. I'll go ahead and drop a link later on in the description. So moving on to our content, we want to, again, as I stated, have those engaging tropes that will bode with our genre and subgenre. So these elements will add the complexity that we need to our series. Now, another thing that we want to look at is making sure to highlight which books will primarily feature these tropes and themes, and which ones will thread throughout the series. So remember, some of our books will have unique tropes and themes just to them, but then across the arc, we will have some solid tropes that follow from book to book, along with some themes. Remember, the key to a successful series is balance, balance between continuity and freshness. You want it to have something familiar. You want to have some surprises in there. And the individual book narratives, we want to make sure that our books feel different. So that's one of the things that I have included within this prompt. And we want to make sure that everything kind of ties together. Now, again, I'm thinking that when we put this into ChatGPT, it's going to give us 8 book series with the same couples. So let's find out. And again, Cece and I had made quite a few changes to this earlier. So I have not had a chance to test it out with some of our changes. So I'm going to go ahead and play with it in ChatGPT. Currently, you can see that I'm in 4. And I am going to just go ahead and plug this right in here and hit enter. So as you can see, it selected a fantasy genre. Subgenre is romantic fantasy chronicles of ethereal magic. Now I do have a tagline. I have a setting. It has given me a town, an enchanted forest. It has given me an antagonistic force. It has given me themes, tropes. It gave me book 1, which is the Radiant Heart. It gave me a log line. It gave me the blurb for book 1. It also gave me the catalyst. So it says, Ava stumbles upon an ancient prophecy that foretells her destiny as the Radiant Heart. So again, it's giving me what I asked. I have the save the cat moment right here that states that Ava chooses to use her newfound magic to heal an injured magical creature, proving her compassion and heroism. So again, we want to see our characters grow. We want to see some good in our character. But remember, don't make your character too perfect because everybody has flaws, and so should your character. Now, we also have our romantic pitch right here, and that is Ava and Lucius' powerful and passionate romance starts, amid some secrets, and it marks the beginning of an epic love saga. Okay, so that right there cues me into thinking, so maybe I was right. This is going to be a series that is just going to include the 2 characters always being the main characters of all 8 books. Now, you'll probably see some people weaving in and out who will have cameos, and those individuals could be spin-off series later. So let's take a look. So we have book 2, and again, we have the logline, the blurb, the catalyst. It gave us the save the cat, and it also gave that moment, it also gave us the romance pitch point. Again, book 3 also has Ava and her love interest. So let's scroll down. We have 4. Book 4 continues the story. We have book 5. It gave us book 6. It gave us book 7. And it stopped writing right there. Now, it did not finish book 7, so we are going to ask Chat to finish. So we're going to ask it to please continue where you left off on book 7. And we want it to follow the same format. Now let's go ahead and hit enter and see where that takes us. The rest of 7 is right here. So it finished it out, gave us our save the cat moment. It gave us our romantic pitch points, and it started on book 8. It gave us a save the cat moment. It gave us romantic pitch points, and it actually gave us the series arc tropes and the series arc themes down at the bottom of all 8. It also gave us the main characters, and look, it went ahead and put in our Myers-Briggs information. And keep in mind that I did ask it to identify the protagonist, which in this case is Ava. I asked it for the love interest, who is Nightfall, and I asked for the individual who is going to be the antagonist. So let's see if it gave us the antagonist. So we do have secondary characters listed here. Let's see, the series, The Chronicles of Ethereal Magic, provides a perfect blend. So I don't see the antagonist, so let's ask. Let's see, provide information on the antagonist. Do we want it just for the series or for all of them? So let's just say for the concept and see what chat does. Okay, so the antagonistic force right now, remember, it can be an individual person, it can be a group or entity, it can be, an inanimate thing, it can be a non-human, it can be an earthquake, it can be man against nature. So in this case, it's the Shadow Order. So it's a group of dark magicians that serve as a primary antagonistic force throughout the series. So it gives us a little bit of information about them and how they're driven to, move through the acts that they go through. So again, this information gives us a little bit more about their menacing power and how it grows over time. Now, you could ask for more information, who are these Shadow Order individuals? Are they more like a cabal? How do they operate? How long have they been in effect? So again, these are all questions that you could ask the AI for more clarification. Now, one of the other items that I really wanted to know more about, I went ahead and wrote a prompt for it, was I want to know more about my characters and how they are connected. So I wrote a little prompt for that. And it basically tells the AI to show how the characters are interconnected. I want the AI to give me a series character list of all of my characters, their occupation, their race, are they human or supernatural? Well, if this was a contemporary, I definitely would not be asking if it was supernatural. In this case, it is supernatural, so I will leave that in here. Now, I want it to pinpoint any clans, packs, or covens they belong to. Again, if this was not paranormal, I would remove that content. Now, I also want to know if my characters fall on the side of the protagonist or the antagonist. Then I want the AI to list all 8 books detailing who the primary protagonist, love interest, and antagonists are. Now, because this series takes place across 8 books with the same couple, that's probably going to be a pretty short list when it comes to who the primaries are in each book, but it should actually list the supporting characters. Now, I am actually asking for each book to provide the supporting characters with cameos and to be sure to show a relationship key to those related or how they're connected. So let's see what the AI does with that. So it's providing me with a character list. And again, keep in mind that Ava and Nightfall are both the same characters across all 8 books. That means that we are going to have multiple characters. Now, this is actually interesting that, sorry about the movement of the screen. So if you look here, there's 2 love interests. So that's making me wonder if this is going to turn into a reverse harem. Now, if you want a reverse harem, you could always ask chat to add additional love interests and turn this into a paranormal fantasy romance with a reverse harem, twist to it. And you could definitely do that. If you don't want the individual to be another, love interest, then I would remove that. Because if it's not intended to be a reverse harem, then you really don't want to have Ava having two love interests, because then that kind of feels like she's cheating. So I would actually go one way or the other with that. Now, looking at the relationship key, we know that Ava is the daughter, of this individual. We know that her love interest is an ex-member of the Shadow Order, which could add some complexity. So there's some items going on here which that could really add additional layers to the story. Now, there are primary characters for each book, and it lists those individuals, and it identifies that they're antagonists. Now, looking at this, we have all 8 books. It is listing who the antagonists are, who the protagonist and love interest. And you'll notice that Ava and her love interest are the same people all the way down. Again, because this series follows the same couple all the way through. So I'm a little bit curious now on making a few changes to this. So let's go back over and make a couple of changes to our template. So let's go in and say, create an engaging 8-book genre plus subgenre interconnected, let's call it a contemporary series. So in addition to that, let's go ahead and state that we want a new couple. Assign a new couple for each book. Now, the other thing that I want to do is this time, let's put in a specific genre or subgenre. So let's do something completely different. I usually pick like either horror or science fiction romance, alien romance. I have done some horror. I have done some psychological thrillers. I have not done cozy or medical mystery. So, you know what? Let's do a medical mystery. Next time I'll do a cozy though. So let's do mystery. Plus, let's do medical. Now, you could also put historical, and then you could say plus Scottish Highland romance. You could definitely do that. You could put in, it now, if you were to make this into a Highland romance, then you would want to take out contemporary from here. Again, think about the genre and the subgenre that you use to ensure that you don't have conflicting information in here. So that's all that I'm going to put in here. So let's see what this does to our content. I'm actually curious to see where this is going to go now. This time, instead of using ChatGPT-4, let's play with 3.5. Now, keep in mind that 3.5 has had some updates, and it was updated. If you look down here at the bottom, it was updated on July 20th with a new version. And keep in mind that with the 32K, that you can upload more information into chat for a response, and the information that you receive back, you can receive larger chunks back. So let's go ahead and paste this content in. Now, one thing that I want to talk to you about ChatGPT 3.5 is that I generally tend to shy away from it because I feel that there are times when it can give some really vague information, especially, a few months back. But here lately, Chat 3.5 GPT 3.5 has actually provided some interesting content, and I think that the upgrades to it have really helped the way that an author can interact with it. But you still have to be very careful of it maybe providing some vague information. So you may have to prompt 3.5 a little bit more than you prompt 4, especially when you are fleshing out beats. You need to make sure that you're telling 3.5 to be really specific. So let's take a look at what 3.5 gives us versus 4. So you can already see that it is giving me the information that I asked for. It is giving me the series title. Um, it is Medical Whispers. So the tagline is Where Mysteries Unfold and Hearts Heal. So it gives me the series premise. So that's kind of interesting. In ChatGPT-4, it gave me more of the series information toward the bottom, but this time this is giving me the series information up top. So let's take a look. So we have the series tagline, the series premise. We also have the setting. So it's telling me that the setting is Havenbrook, a charming town known for its cutting edge medical facilities and, their tranquil surroundings. So it's already setting up the stage for the series. So book 1, diagnostic deception. So this one lets me know that Dr. Emma Lawson, a brilliant, she uncovers a series of unexplained illnesses, and she teams up with a detective to unravel a medical conspiracy that puts the entire town at risk. Okay, that's pretty cool. So it immediately has, it puts her out front. The whole city is at risk. So those are some pretty high stakes because they're racing against time to try and save people. It's chaotic and they find love in that process. So that's pretty cool. So we have a blurb that tells us a little bit more about the story because the mysterious, cases baffle the medical community. Let's see, the catalyst is Emma and Ryan's path. Their paths cross during the hospital charity event where a guest collapses. Okay, so that's good. Definitely is a good catalyst to propel. Do you help the person? Do you not? When you help the person, maybe some of those symptoms kind of cue her into thinking maybe there's something amiss. So, save the cat moment. Ryan risks his life to save a group of children trapped in a burning building. What does a burning building have to do with a crazy, virus or illness that's sweeping the city? That's interesting. Now, our romantic pitch points: forbidden love, attraction through admiration, lovers must work together. So, that's kind of interesting. I don't see that as often, especially in some of the content that I write, so that's intriguing to me. You see the different themes that it's given. So let's take a look. So, who are our characters for book 1? Emma and Detective Bennett. So let's take a look at 2. We have a cardiologist, Alex Thompson, and then we have Lily, who is a journalist. So there you have it. You have to prompt it. The first time around, when we ran the prompt, we didn't really fully specify whether it was to be the same couple across all 8 books. The second time, we specified that we wanted new couples, and it gave us that. So each one of these books has a new couple. So in this one, they're digging deeper because they stumble upon a dangerous medical experiment. So one of the things I'm curious about is in book 1, there's some mystery illnesses. So do those mystery illnesses tie into these dangerous medical experiments? They could. Remember, we have reoccurring tropes and themes that should go across all 8 books for that story arc. But then we also have individual tropes and themes within each book. So keep that in mind when you're working on series. Now, it tells me, note, books 3 to 8 and their corresponding tropes and themes and romance pitch points will be continued in the next response due to limitation. Now, keep in mind we're on 3.5, so I'm surprised that it kind of stopped us and didn't give us everything at once. So let's go ahead and ask it to continue because it only gave us book 2. That's interesting. So let's ask it to continue. So please continue. Let's see, I'm just going to grab this. And the romantic pitch points. I love it when I can just copy and paste it back in there. And let's see what it does. So here's 3 and 4. So different individuals again. 5. So this time it looks like 3.5 is giving me a lot more content all at once. We actually got to, let's see, book 8. So that's interesting. I kind of almost expected it to give me all 8 of them at once. Now, one of the things that I want you to keep in mind is how conversational ChatGPT is. So say I am a fledgling writer and I've heard so much about maybe Harlequin, okay? So I know that Harlequin takes medical mysteries, so I might think, what do I need to do to turn this series into something that Harlequin might be interested in? I can go out to their site. I can read about, what their requirements are, their guidelines. You definitely want to follow any publisher's guidelines, but you can also ask Chat. Let's see what Chat says. If I want to flesh this series out and make it fit in the publishing world for Harlequin, let's see, we need to find out if there are specific things that we need to do different. Are there items that must change to make this series appealing? Please provide feedback and real-time examples. Keep in mind, Chat trained on material that was open source, in public domain, and some of the requirements that Harlequin has on their website is something that the OpenAI would have scraped. It wouldn't have gone in and taken material from people's copywritten work because that's behind a paywall. But anything that is in public domain or maybe synopsises that might be on a wiki site or the blurbs of books, it will take a look at that. And Harlequin's pretty specific about the templates and the way that they like to see content unravel. So let's see what Chat says. To make Medical Whispers series more appealing to the Harlequin publishing world, you can focus on enhancing certain elements to align with the romance publishing guidelines. So it states that Harlequin is known for distinct romance subgenres, so it's important to tailor the series to fit within one of their lines. And that is so important. If you are looking at any publisher, you want to make sure that you are fully up to date and understand what it is that that publisher is looking for. In this case, the Medical Whisper series could fit well into a Harlequin romantic suspense line or medical romance line, depending on the level of suspense and the medical drama you want to emphasize. So, again, if it has more suspense, then it would go to the Harlequin romantic suspense line. If it has more of the medical romance line, then of course it'd go to the medical romance. So, some of the things that Harlequin really likes to focus on is the romantic emphasis. So, their novels typically have very strong romantic focuses, with the romance plot taking center stage. It is very character driven. You need to make sure that you are moving the story along with that romantic touch to it. You need to make sure that you're building that tension. While the medical mystery aspect is intriguing, you need to be sure to weave that romance throughout the series consistently. So keep in mind, it is a romance first, and then it is a medical mystery second. So that romance really needs to take front and center. Now, keep in mind length and pacing. That's really important. Harlequin novels usually have specific word counts, so you always want to go and look at their guidelines. Now, what chat pulled up was to say to aim for 50 to 70,000 words for a romantic suspense and 50 to 60 for a medical romance. Now, when it comes to that, sensual level, Harlequin does have a variety of sensual levels for its line. So make sure that you are paying attention to what line or what level of romance you want to write in, and write in something you're comfortable with. And you want to make sure that it aligns to the target. For example, if you're aiming for a medical romance, focus on a sweet emotional romance. While with romantic suspense, you can include more passion and maybe. Now, for your series title and covers, Harlequin often has specific branding for each line. You want to ensure that the series titles and the covers are actually going to match the tone and style of that chosen line. So you want something eye-catchy, you want a good title name, something that when people read that title name, it will automatically pop. Now, for romantic pitch points, that's really important too. So make sure that you're emphasizing the romantic elements in the series pitch and blurbs. You want to show how each couple's relationship develop throughout the book and the challenges that they face together. Because remember, it might be a book about a medical mystery, but at the core, it's a story about your male and female character and the budding love and their happy ever after. So here the AI has provided an example. Let's say you decide to pitch the series, it gives you an idea. So it lets you know in a picturesque town of Havenbrook, medical professionals heal more than just bodies. So join the team of dedicated doctors as they navigate the complexities of medicine and love. Okay, so immediately you know that there's medicine, you know there are physicians, but love also. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on trigger words that would cue maybe an editor into looking at what aspects that you may want in your book and that they may be looking for. So let's see. Romantic pitch points. Opposites attract. Attraction through admiration. Love. So love triumphs over adversity. So some of these are familiar. We'd already read some of those. So do we want to try this again, but maybe go back to our base and see what 3.5 will do? And let's just try it one more time real quick with ChatGPT-4 and see what that one gives us. So let's go back in and look. So I'm going to grab this. Let's see what chat will give us in 4. And I started a new one because I'd already started a thread and I didn't want it to continue with the same thought. Now, I'm curious. I left this one as mystery and medical. I want to see what 4 will give us. So 4 also, remember how 3.5 actually gave us the series information up front? Well, ChatGPT-4 generally gives it to you at the bottom. So here it gives us our book title, our logline, our synopsis. It gives us book 2, book 3, Now, if you notice, it did not give us all the information that we asked for. I don't see all the tropes listed here. So when this happens, make sure that you're asking Chat to give you that additional information. So I'm going to ask Chat about that. So why didn't you provide the required elements? Now I'm going to go in and grab those items. Let's pull this up again and repaste. And it said that, yes, I was missing some of the content from the request. So let's see if it finishes that. So this time it is paying attention. It gave me my catalyst, my save the cat, my pitch points. And if you notice, my pitch points are fleshed out more. So that's one of the things that I really like about GPT-4. Now, if you're in 3.5, it can definitely give you some really good information. But if you find that it's too vague, pull that content and bring it into ChatGPT-4 and flesh some of the content out. Or you can pull the content off, put it in a Word document, and you can flesh it out, manually. And here are Jamie Gold romance beats. And it gives us the setting, the antagonistic forces. Now, this is only book 1. So I'm going to ask it to continue with book 2. And I'm going to ask it to use the same format. And let's see what happens. I'm going to copy this because I have a feeling we're going to be pasting that quite a bit. So here again, we have our new person. So we have Dr. Ethan Turner. So let's go up to the top. And I want to see who this one was. Sarah Chambers. Okay. So different couples. Again, I have my romantic pitch points. I have the save the cat moment, the catalyst. I have character details. I have the setting. I have antagonistic force. Now let's do 3. Now keep in mind that when you are on ChatGPT-4, that you have 50 questions that you can ask in a 3-hour period of time. Now, from the looks of this, I'm going to have to ask it to continue every single one. I like that it has given me more of a breakdown because it gives me more to look over and actually kind of focus on. So let's go. This is book number 3, Scalpel of Secrets. So that's kind of interesting. There's an FBI agent on this one, which is interesting. Alex Carter. Boy, ChatGPT sure does like Alex, doesn't it? So let's go ahead and change this to book 4. Now keep in mind that some of the supporting characters will actually be the ones who have cameos. So your couple for book 2 should make a cameo appearance in book 1, just like your characters in book 3, who are your main character, your protagonist and your antagonist. I mean, your protagonist, love interest, and even your antagonist may make cameos in the prior book. So let's go ahead and do the same for book 5. Whenever I get done here, I'm going to show you one more prompt. Now, if I were looking to write all of these, I kind of like to write my series back to back because then I feel like there's more continuity between all of my books, especially if I have characters that weave in and out of each book. The longer I'm out of a series, the harder it is for me to get back into it. So I tend to write all of my series back to back. Otherwise, I have to read and become reacquainted with a book if I sit it down for too long, or a series. So we are doing book 6, and as you can see, these are really long, especially compared to the content that 3.5 gave us. Now again, you can play with 3.5, you can ask it to flesh it out, you can ask for additional details, you can continuously go back and forth with 3.5. We are going to ask for book number 7 and then 8. Sorry, I'm not taking a whole lot of time to stop and look at them. I'm just doing a spot check to see that I have a new person, Grace, and Jake is her love interest. I have the catalyst. Let's see, Grace's encounter with a patient displaying signs of trafficking lead her to involve Officer Larson. We have a save the cat moment. We have those romantic pitch points. We have character details, setting. We have the antagonistic force. And let's go to book number 8. Now, to me, this gives me more than enough information to kind of play with. Now, I could have come to ChatGPT-4 with an idea about the world that I wanted to write about, but I wanted to show y'all with the most basic outline, you can get some really interesting content and take it and then make it your own. You need to add additional content in here, flesh it out, add that human touch to it. So book 8 wraps up the series with themes of justice, the power of intuition, and the healing nature of love. Okay, that's nice. So again, we have all of the information that we asked for. Every single book has a title, a logline, a synopsis, has the catalyst, that save the cat moment, has the romantic pitch points, and it has the character details in the setting and the antagonistic force. So one of the other things that I really want to know about is how do these characters relate? How are they connected? So we're going to come back over to chat and we're going to ask chat to tell us how our characters are interconnected. I want to make sure that chat gives us that series character list so that we know who the individuals are. Now, keep in mind, earlier whenever we were doing the paranormal one, it was okay to leave in race because if they are human or supernatural. So I'm going to kill that because that is not applicable to this book. We don't need to pinpoint any clans, packs, or covens. And I'm going to remove this one right. Let's see, pinpoint if they fall on the side of the protagonist or the antagonist. We also want to know a list of all 8 books detailing who the primary, the protagonist, love interest, and antagonist. Now remember in the first example, that really wasn't too much of an issue because we knew that the same couple were the leads through all 8 books. With this project, each book has its own, main couple. So we don't have anything else in here that would kind of push it to be paranormal. So let's take a look. So it's giving us the series characters and it's telling us what book those individuals are coming on the scene with. So 1 and 2 are in book 1. We've got the cardiologist and the police detective. We have a neurologist and a journal for 2. We have an orthopedic surgeon and a hospital administrator for 5 and 6. Let's see, that would be book 3. For 7 and 8, which is book 4, we have a pediatrician and a school teacher. For 9 and 10, which is book 5, we have a specialist at Pine Haven Hospital and an insurance investigator. So number 11 and 12, that would be for book 6. And we have a police officer and a nurse, 7. So what happened to 8? So we're going to have to ask Chat to provide 8. Now, here we have, again, book 7. We have book 1, 2, 3. Now, all of these include the protagonist. It shows the antagonist and the supporting characters. So the supporting characters are important because now you can do a comparison to see which characters show up in which book. And I think that's important to know because it kind of helps you start to build a Bible. So we have that all the way through book 7. So now I'm going to ask Chat, what happened to book 8? And let's see what he says. He apologizes for the confusion. Yeah, okay. So for book 8, it lists the information that it left off. There you go. You have all of your characters. Now, the thing that's a little confusing to me, right here, character interaction and relationship. Natalie, Brooks, and Laura. Oh, okay, they're long-term friends. Okay, that makes sense then. And then you know that Scott collaborates with Ethan, who was book 7. And let's see, there are legal cases, has a professional acquaintance with Andrew from book 1 and Jake from book 6. So again, it's showing how our characters interact with the others. This is really helpful when you're trying to figure out what characters are going to be some of the key players. So again, if you enjoyed this, please be sure to ring that bell, hit subscribe, and like the video. If there are other videos that you would like for us to make on prompts or prompt generation, let us know. One thing that I want to do is take one of these series and maybe flesh it out into maybe longer synopsises, maybe flesh out the chapter outlines and the chapter beats. It'd be interesting to see how taking the information from ChatGPT and then maybe taking it into Story Engine and writing it, Story Engine through pseudo-write, and seeing how these series would unfold. Now, the other thing that we could do is once we flesh out all of the outlines and the chapter beats, we could go in with some direction to ChatGPT-4, and we could actually write all of these books here in ChatGPT-4. Now, with the constraints that ChatGPT-4 has, we wouldn't be able to write sexual content, but we could either manually write in a love scene if we want it to be more sensual or steamy, or we could take our books after we finish writing them in ChatGPT-4 or using Chat to assist us with the writing process. We could then take that into pseudo-write Story Engine, into their pseudo-write common page, and we could use some of their laser focus tools to maybe flesh out more intimate scenes, because pseudo-write does not have censorship for adult intimate scenes or even for maybe epic battle scenes, whereas a lot of other companies such as Jasper and ChatGPT have those censor blinders on that prevent you from writing sexual content that may be steamy or graphic, and it also censors, graphic violence. So again, I think I'm going to probably pick the medical one because that one kind of calls to me, especially with the different situations that are arising with the FBI, the officers, contagions. So all of that kind of piques the writer in me. And I think that'll be the one that we'll come back to. So be on the lookout for the next installment of this 25 on the fly, and we'll actually start fleshing out all of these synopses for this series. And there we go, my digital storytellers. That wraps up our session on crafting an 8-book series. It's a beautiful challenge, intertwining individual narratives into an overreaching plot, balancing continuity with freshness, and maintaining reader engagement across multiple books. Now, as we journey onward, in our next session, we'll dive deeper into the first book of our series. We'll take the initial premise and expand it into a tantalizing synopsis that will set the stage for a compelling narrative. Please remember to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to the AI Writers Connection channel to ensure you never miss our future sessions. And remember to hit the bell icon to receive notifications about our latest content. Join the conversation in our AI Writers Connection Discord group, where we carry on these discussions, exchange ideas, and encourage each other on our creative journeys. All are welcome in this inspiring community. You'll find the link in the description below. If you have any thoughts or questions about today's session, we'd love to hear from you. Please share them in the comments below. Until next time, remember to keep exploring, keep innovating, and most importantly, keep writing. The future is at our fingertips, and I can't wait to see the stories you'll create. Stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.